Russia launched fresh attacks on the Ukrainian city of Zaporizhzhia on September 16, 2025. One person was killed, and 13 others, including children, were injured in the Russian strike. Regional Governor Ivan Fedorov reported that at least 10 strikes targeted civilian infrastructure overnight. According to the State Emergency Service, a large-scale fire broke out in residential buildings. 78 rescuers and 17 pieces of equipment were deployed to control the aftermath. Meanwhile, hopes for peace remain distant as no active negotiations are underway as of mid-September 2025, with diplomatic efforts stalled despite ongoing international attention. The Kremlin publicly acknowledged that negotiations are more on pause than progressing. Several rounds of negotiations took place in Istanbul during 2025, mainly resulting in prisoner swaps. However, both sides remained far apart on key issues such as territory and security guarantees. Russia continues to demand that Ukraine withdraw from occupied regions and renounce NATO ambitions. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky continues to call for a full ceasefire and has expressed willingness to engage in direct talks, but only if Russia withdraws from occupied areas and accepts Ukraine's sovereignty. Russian forces currently occupy roughly 19% of Ukraine's territory. The majority of Russian-controlled areas are in eastern and southern regions, including parts of Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson Oblasts, as well as Crimea. Russia has steadily advanced in the Donbas region, capturing key towns such as Avdiivka and pushing westward toward Pokrovsk. Zaporizhzhia and Kherson. Russian forces continue to control significant portions of these oblasts, consolidating their presence since the initial invasion. Crimea, annexed by Russia in 2014 and firmly under Russian control. In August 2025, Russian troops seized villages in the Dnipropetrovsk region, marking new advances in areas previously unaffected. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces have successfully retaken small pockets of land, notably regaining up to 62 square kilometers in Donetsk. On September 16th, European Union ministers met in Brussels to discuss the threat posed by Russia following a drone incursion into Poland last week, as well as Ukraine's prospects of accession to the 27-member bloc. Arriving at the meeting, Estonian Minister for Foreign Affairs Margus Tsahkna said that
Putin attacked NATO, and this is a fact, so we need to face that. So I do hope that President Trump as well understands that there is need to be made some actions about the sanctions, about increasing the pressure to Russia. So Putin is playing with everybody, with him as well, winning the time, using this time to come out from isolation politically, but also increasing the military pressure to Ukraine. But Ukraine is standing, and also we are more united in Europe. And I'm not only talking about the European Union, I'm talking about UK, Norway, Iceland, all the other countries. So we need to show as well to US that we can do more. And I do hope that US will come as well with the sanction packages.
Number one thing is that we need to keep supporting Ukraine. We need to put more pressure on Russia when it comes to oil and gas and shadow fleet. What has happened now, what we saw in Poland with the drones, remind us of the fact that we need to strengthen the European and the EU's eastern border. For us who come from Finland with a 1,340-kilometer border with Russia, we know what it means, and we need to keep strengthening the whole of EU's.
Accession negotiations with Ukraine is very important. It's important for EU, and it is in particular important for the Danish EU presidency. It is one of our top priorities. It is a geopolitical necessity, how we see it. It is about security in Ukraine, but also security for Europe and our capability of defending ourselves in the future. We are putting pressure on Hungary to formally open the first cluster, and if that's not possible, we as a Danish presidency are working on all other political or practical measures we can do in order to bring Ukraine closer to the EU.
As a politician, I work in a political environment, and the political environment in Hungary is that more than 70% of the Hungarians do not support continuing the accession process with Ukraine. This is a political reality that we have to take into consideration.
Moscow rejects any security guarantees for Ukraine, that include NATO or Western military presence, such as peacekeepers from NATO countries, viewing this as a direct threat to Russian national security. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that NATO is in a de facto conflict with Russia.
НАТО воюет с Россией. НАТО воюет с Россией, это очевидно, и это не нуждается ни в каких дополнительных доказательствах. НАТО де-факто задействовано в этой войне. НАТО оказывает и косвенную, и прямую поддержку киевского режима. Поэтому можно с абсолютной уверенностью сказать, что НАТО воюет с Россией.
According to Reuters, the Kremlin insists Kyiv must accept the current situation on the battlefield and the territorial changes made by Russia as a basis for negotiations. Former U.S. President Donald Trump hosted meetings and offered mediation, expressing a desire for a quick solution, but later acknowledged the complexity and delays. The UK, Japan, and others have increased economic sanctions against Russia to pressure Moscow towards a settlement. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russian President Vladimir Putin attempted to escape from the political isolation through diplomacy with U.S. President Donald Trump at last month's peace summit in Alaska. I think it gave a lot to Putin, and I believe if it was a trilateral meeting, we would have some result because Putin wanted to meet the President of the United States, Trump. He wanted to escape from the political isolation, and I believe he should have paid more. He should have received a setback in this war and stop, but instead he received de-isolation. He got photos with President Trump. He received a public dialogue, and I think this opens the doors for Putin into some other summits and formats. Because that's how it is, and we see that. We're observing this, and I don't think he paid anything for it, but he should pay. Putin, definitely wants to trick the U.S. He's doing everything he can to avoid sanctions to prevent U.S. and Trump from putting sanctions on him. And if you keep postponing, applying sanctions any further, then the Russians will be better prepared.
Welcome to Money Control, your ultimate destination in the ever-evolving world of finance, business, markets, policy, and technology. India's preeminent news platform, driven by facts and fueled by data. A platform made in India, and for the world. Moneycontrol.com has a staggering reach of 100 million plus monthly active users and 6.02 million daily active users. Being a transformative digital force, reshaping how we engage with money, markets, and news. Setting us apart is our commitment to delivering accurate information and empowering financial decision-making in a dynamic ecosystem. Seeking a deeper dive into the financial realm, we present Money Control Pro, a powerhouse of exclusive insights, providing actionable investment ideas and expert analysis. Because in today's fast-paced world, informed decisions demand both information and expertise. And we have 1 million plus Money Control Pro total paid subscribers and 100% return in 1.5 years, beating the market. Explore market trends, access expert opinions, and utilize essential financial tools all at your fingertips. Join the millions who trust Moneycontrol.com for their financial journey, where facts meet finance and data drives decisions. Think markets, think Money Control.